Alrighty. Well, Ryan, Carmen, thank you for joining me, my friend. How are you doing on this fine Friday?
Doing very well. How
All
about yourself?
right.
Thanks
That's
for
better.
having me.
That's right. It's better than the alternative. Are you tuning into some golf this weekend, watching the players at all?
I probably will. That's what Sundays are for in my house.
Yeah. Yeah. Kick up the feet. I see you get the TV in the background
Huh?
and watch a little bit of Sunday Major tournament action.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Love it. Well, hey, I appreciate the time today. And think you're guest number 4 here on a series we're doing called Revenue Alert. Really, a little bit of background on the series is, for as an outsider coming into the world of golf, I definitely am a nerd at heart and just kind of find the science and the art of how you grow a business in a golf course with all the different constraints, whether it be weather, ownership, strategy, price, competition, to be very interesting. But didn't see a lot of content out there on how do you go about running a facility? How do you grow the top line, and what kind of tools and tactics are you using to make that happen? So what I've done here is start having some chats with folks like yourself across the industry, either at the MCO level, at the course level, at and you are our first municipal or public owned multi-course operator that's going to help talk shop here. So excited to dive in. But maybe as we do, if I'd love to just get a little bit of background. How did you make your way into your role that you're in today? You're running a great portfolio in Fairfax County. So what was your path to get there?
Sure. So I went to school, Slippery Rock University, right north of Pittsburgh, and majored in sport management. And the goal coming out of that was to get into Major League Soccer. That's what golf was never, I played golf, but not competitively, just a fun kind of thing to go out and do. So it was never a real passion, if you will. So I ended up getting an internship with the Tampa Bay Mutiny down in Tampa, and 12 credits, semester long internship. So drive down to Tampa from Pittsburgh, pull into Raymond James Stadium where the Buccaneers play, where the Mutiny played. And I walk in for the first day of my, potentially new career, and they had got contracted from the league. They ceased to exist. They were gone.
Oof.
And no one told me. So right around the corner in the stadium was Tampa Sports Authority, and they managed the stadium itself and 3 municipal golf courses in and around Tampa. And they knew that an intern was coming down for the Mutiny, so they were kind of waiting for me to walk through those doors. And I did, and 22 years later, I'm still in golf.
Wow.
That's the short but long story. There was a few stints where I got out of golf for a minute, but I got right back in. So pretty much 22 years in golf.
Awesome. And how long with the Tampa Bay Revenue Authority?
So I was with the Tampa Sports Authority. Again, it was just my internship. It was January. It was supposed to be for the whole semester. So January through, April, May for a semester. And I ended up in that April of 2002 getting my first real job at a golf course here in Northern Virginia, ironically. That didn't last very long. That's a whole other story. But I ended up going back to Pittsburgh, back home. Ended up at a resort, and then back into the golf world, and then back to a resort, but within golf, a five-diamond resort outside of Pittsburgh. Hosted the PGA Tour for 4 years. Just a tremendous experience to learn that, hospitality world, and to bring that into a municipal setting certainly was a blessing in disguise. So, with Fairfax County now, I started at they're kind of the crown jewel, that being Laurel Hill Golf Club. And I was GM there for 6 years, rolled into a newly created position at the time, which was then the assistant director of golf for the golf division. And then, as it turns out, I'm now the director of golf for. So within 7-8 years, I went from GM at Laurel Hill to now overseeing our portfolio of 7 golf courses.
Awesome. And that experience in hospitality, what did you take in terms of service, in terms of, being able to be in front of customers every day who have, I'm sure, lots of needs and wants and high expectations? How did you bring that into the world of public golf?
Yeah, it's, it is golf itself, and some people agree, some people disagree. The golf course industry is the hospitality industry. So it's building the right team. It's building kind of your farm team at the same time. It's consistent training. It's leading by example. It's kind of creating that positive energy and the expectations of creating that experience where it's the unexpected. The golfer comes in and is just greeted. First line of our business is the outside operations. When someone walks up, it's greet them. It's the simple things. It's very obvious things that a lot of munis probably lack to a certain degree. And when you're dealing with golf courses in Northern Virginia, where it's, two of the counties are the wealthiest counties in the country, it's a whole different experience and whole level of expect the unexpected type of mentality in this area. So it's interesting, and it can be difficult. And again, people will be people. Can't control it.
Yeah, I just listened to a podcast with Danny Meyer, who is a restaurateur and has opened many of the biggest, most incredible restaurants in the world. I think maybe in New York, 3 of his restaurants have Michelin stars, but he actually then founded Shake Shack and grew it from zero to taking them public, but brought a lot of the experience and playbook from ultra high-end Michelin star, restaurants in Manhattan into a burger joint.
Right.
And I think a lot of that, what he's talking about, is the book he is called Unreasonable Hospitality. And it's like, hey, really no detail being too small of delighting the customer. And it's just, I think there's application there in every category. There's application in my business, right? Doing whatever it takes to make the course successful, but also at the course operations level, if somebody has a tough day, if somebody's got something going on, going kind of above and beyond expectations there. But actually, my question is this: right? It's probably a balance, right? Because you have to run a business, but at the same time, it's a public owned entity. So how do you balance the kind of the mission, which is, hey, grow revenue, run a healthy operation, but then at the same time, balancing the fact that it's a public entity?
Whew, that's always a tough question to answer. I will say this. So, and I kind of jotted some notes down going into this, and we'll kind of jump ahead to some talking points that I had planned for future questions in this series. Is each winter we put out what we call a Voice of the Golfer survey that goes out to upwards of 50,000 golfers that have played our golf courses over the course of the previous year. So we just got back the 2023 survey results. And part of that is, there's 50 questions, some multiple choice, some, add in your own thoughts. But we get, for each golf course, all 7 golf courses, what did you like about our golf course? What did you not like about our golf course? So we kind of find the balance between those two for each golf course, but also for the group as a whole. And we take whatever is really manageable, deficiencies we're seeing both on the operations side, the clubhouse side, and on the golf course conditioning side. And we work together, the GMs, the superintendents, our support. Fairfax County Park Authority has tremendous support and resources, everything from marketing to business analysts to our finance group. There's a whole slew of resources. So golf section, the golf division, we're just not on our own. We don't have to figure things out on our own. We've got that support. So, I mean, really digging into it, it's building the relationships. It's sometimes easier said than done with, upwards of 50,000 golfers, almost 360,000 rounds of golf, across all 7 golf courses. And it's building that loyalty. It's working, going back to the marketing aspect, working with what's called the MarCom division, which is marketing and communications. So, it's email blasts, it's social media posts. It's a little bit of everything. And our on the boots staff at the 7 courses, they're all tremendous at what they do. Our golfer satisfaction score, which is also part of the survey, going back to the survey results, 12% increase of rounds over last year. So 2023 compared to 2022, we had a 12% increase.
That's
paired with that, our satisfaction rate also increased. So not only more rounds, but people are more happy. And the satisfaction drivers we're seeing, and this probably goes, spread across every golf course around the world, but it's course conditions, it's golfer expectations, and it's the value. Those are the satisfaction drivers that we're seeing. And so we're taking those top 3 and we're really trying to dig into those, both from an analytics standpoint, but from also boots on the ground standpoint as well. So it's always a balance and a juggle. You're not going to make everybody happy. We all know that, a very obvious statement, but we're making at least 85% people happy that have played our courses.
Yeah. So what it sounds like is the focus is on really delighting the customer and giving them a great product. And if you delight the customer and you give them a great product, then the top line will take care of itself.
In a sense, absolutely.
And what I'm hearing, so a 12% growth in rounds, or did you say 22% or 12%?
12% over last year.
Got it.
So 23 compared to 22, there's a 12%. And our high mark previous to 23 was in 21, which was kind of the peak of the pandemic.
Right.
So really comparing 23 to 21, there was a 6% increase in rounds.
Wow. So it doesn't sound like you're seeing much softening on the demand side yet, huh?
Not yet. With that said, though, we've had some tremendous winters, meaning there hasn't been a lot of snow. So we've gotten lucky with, whether that's a climate change that we'll see, ongoing, or just these past few winters, we've just gotten very lucky. But that certainly plays a part in it.
Got it. So I'm curious for you, as you think about kind of the factors that drive that rounds growth, I mean, how much do you think it's the science of the right price and the right marketing and the right distribution and the right product versus kind of the art of new ideas, new technologies, new, initiatives, campaigns, what have you, great service? How do you think about those two things? I mean, obviously there's probably 10 variables that go into what gets someone out there, whether it's just, hey, it happens to be 75 degrees today and I want to go golf, or it's, wow, this was an awesome new initiative. I got a great email from Fairfax County saying, come out and play, and now I'm going to go play. So I'm curious how you think about those two things.
That was a long-winded question, Jake.
Well, you could put a mute button on me. I'm sure lots of people wish they did.
Just me personally, I feel that I have more of a artistic brain. I mean, just to, in relation to the question you just asked, I think that I like the marketing and the communications and the big picture kind of concepts, creating, kind of curated kind of special events that both relate to a golfer, but also to a non-golfer. But paired with that is we do have a analytic kind of branch. We call it the business office, within the Fairfax County Park Authority. So they're the ones, behind the computers running the numbers. And, I'm certainly in conversation with them nearly daily. But really, I'm looking at all 7 tee sheets every day, looking 3, 4, 5, 6 days out, and really digging into, all right, there is a dead time at Burke Lake between 2 and 4 o'clock on Saturdays and Sundays. Why is that? Right. So I have that conversation with the GM, and if we see that trend continue, all right, there's something we need to do. It's not let's panic because next Saturday there's only 1 tee time between 2 and 4. No, let's just see what that trend is. If it keeps trending, we need to dig in and do something. So, using again Burke Lake Golf Center as the example, it's an 18-hole par 3 golf course, double-decker driving range. It's kind of a golf factory. But that 2 to 4, we decided that starting this spring, we've created what's called an Orange Tee Club. So it'll be forward tees specific to juniors. So the hope is that the parent will bring the junior, and there'll be that ancillary spending. Before or after the round, the kids are going to get a visor and a little bag of goodies. So we're going to kind of create a community of junior golfers, but with parents, and that will hopefully kind of start to fill in those dead times. And that's just one example, but it's always a work in progress because it's very weather related. It's very economic related. I actually, to kind of jump around, I met with our club car rep the other day just to start planning for future fleets. And he was asking about rounds and how it's going, and he made a funny but kind of a very true kind of note. He said something along the lines of, all these economists that are out there and they're predicting, inflations or going in, spiraling downwards and prices going up and, people not spending their discretionary income or not having as much discretionary income. These economists need to call a public golf course. How are your rounds? Right. So, we're seeing that, and not bragging, but we are seeing an increase. So we're doing something right. Yeah. We have a tremendous marketing team behind us, and leveraging technology. When I sat in this seat, or when I first sat in this role, in this seat of director of golf, with this portfolio of golf courses where there's par 3 golf courses with driving ranges, there's 3 18-hole golf courses, there's 2 9-hole golf courses. We need to find a way to leverage technology. I know in one of the episodes previous to mine that you've had is the golf industry, the golf course industry, where sometimes, or in the past, have been afraid to grab onto technology to help our businesses, to help the customer experience. And I was thinking about this last night, I don't think it's the operators that are solely afraid of bringing that technology in. I think we're afraid, or have a weird view on it, that we're actually afraid for our customers to adapt to this technology, because the demographic for golfers is 60-year-olds. There's, it's that boomer generation that is still in this industry and still leading. That's why this revenue keeps running in, is these boomers, the 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, are the ones taking over the tee sheets for the most part. I don't know whether that's true or not. I just feel that, I want all the technology I can get, but I'm afraid to put it out to the customers I don't want them to I don't want to scare them away. Right. So I feel like that's part of it. I feel like I have so much more to say about that, but I just lost my train of thought.
Well, I think that's one of the most surprising parts of our platform in general, right? You've got the age demographic data that you could look at, and we see the number one age demographic using Notify is 65 to 7 years old.
Not to interrupt, but I'm seeing, so plug the Notify. We started with Notify about 3 weeks ago, and we're seeing, looking at the demographics and the age, it is exactly that. It's 50 and 60-year-olds who have the most alert set up. So that kind of goes against everything I just said to a degree. Small sample size currently, But it is an amazing, you're looking at it right now, aren't you?
I'm looking at it. Yeah. 60 to 65 is the number one.
Yeah.
And then, it's tight between 50 to 70. And look, I mean, there's a meaningful number of 70 to 75-year-olds. And actually, we got a few 90 to 95-year-olds out there.
Maybe everything I just said in my little soapbox back, 2 minutes ago, maybe I take that all back.
No. But that's what I'm saying. It's surprising, right? Because, the level, this is what's most surprising. 30 to 40 is the same level as 75 to 80 right now in your data. And it's actually not that, approaching 500 golfers. That's actually pretty. And what's surprising is we see this across markets. This is what it looks like in Southern California. Now, there's certain properties that have different, if it's destination,
right,
maybe it's a different demographic than if it's, high-end daily fee. But what's interesting there is I've been surprised. I always get shocked when I see this, because you have this, almost like aversion, like, oh no, if we roll something out, it's going to like bite us. And then I'm going to get a bunch of complaints, because obviously 2 golfers, 3 opinions, right?
Exactly.
But that's really interesting, just walking through kind of those ideas that you walk through and how you balance everything. Are there any mistakes you guys have made? Like, is there anything you've tried that just flopped, or anything that golfers really expressed a dissatisfaction for?
Wow. Trying to like specific examples. It's, the biggest complaint we get, again, going back to the survey, because it's so fresh right now, because we just got the results back. And I smile and love this complaint, is that there's not enough tee times available. And I think, that's kind of a weird complaint. I mean, but things that we've failed at, I mean, obviously we're not perfect. I don't have specific examples to that. Wow, you've stumped me on that one.
Well, no, I mean, it's interesting. So listen, that's a great problem to have, right? If demand is most frustrated at the supply side, you can't really control that. I mean, you're trying with some of your new initiatives, but no, I mean, it's interesting. I think some things that we've heard others talk about are like when they roll out dynamic pricing, they may be looking at the wrong thing, or if they roll out a loyalty program, making sure that it's set up right. But, as you think about, I guess, what do you do when you get these results? Like, so you get a survey and it says, all right, golfers love the product. They're frustrated with some things like access. How do you guys action on that? And do you have kind of authority to just roll out what you see fit, or how does that work across the portfolio?
In a way, to the last part of that question is, both when I was the general manager at Laurel Hill and now that I'm in this role, we do have autonomy, both from site level, but also agency wide as well. So we have that empowerment. If we see a problem, we fix the problem, depending on the size of the problem, of course. If we need to bring in other resources such as the finance division or HR or whatever it may be. But our sole task, again, going back to the hospitality side of it, is if it's very much a customer related and manageable issue, we just solve it, whether it's right there with the customer in front of us, or if it's a issue that is going to take, multiple meetings or multiple resources to figure out. We're going to do it, because customers equal revenue, and that's why we're here. So I guess to give you a little bit of an insight into how it all operates within a government agency, and they're all a little bit different as I'm learning, but with Fairfax County Park Authority in general, there's the general fund and there's the revenue fund. The general fund is tax funded. So it's not revenue related. It's funded by tax paying monies. Whereas the revenue fund, which is where the golf division sits, it's not tax funded. And a lot of our customers think that it is.
Right.
So there are some complaints that stem from that thinking is, why aren't these golf conditions absolutely perfect? My money's going into these golf courses, where, we have to politely explain when we have the opportunity to do so, is to kind of educate our golfers that we are 100% kind of, liable, if you will, to, hit our revenue budget, control our expenses, hit that target net for the sake of the revenue fund. So it is a little bit tricky working with a government agency in a sense. But at the same time, it's also awesome because we've got that support. And Fairfax County is a very powerful county, 10 minutes outside of DC. And again, it's a unique place to live. Northern Virginia, which is where we're at, is in essence its own state. There's Northern Virginia and there's the rest of Virginia. So it's a unique demographic to sit in.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's just unbelievable how many public courses are in that market outside of DC, right?
There's a lot. And a lot of them are municipal run. I mean, you've got, as you know, Montgomery County, right, 10 minutes down the road, Northern Virginia, Nova Parks, I should say. They have 4 or 5 golf courses. And then Troon has a grouping of courses here. There's some management companies that exist. And then there's the 7, Fairfax County courses, Prince William County. There is a lot of public golf to choose from. So we're all competing against each other, but at the same time, I'm sure we're sharing the same customers, and that's okay too.
Right.
We're all in this together, and if we're not helping each other, then what are we doing? We're all one big industry, and
right.
I have a couple weird stories that I probably won't say that there is, a part of this area where, a group of golf courses that they don't want to help. They don't want to, meet with us, and I'm going down a rabbit hole I don't want to go down. I'll stop there.
Some co-opetition over there.
There you go.
Maybe without the co-op part.
Yeah, they lack the co-op part.
That's really interesting. I mean, it's unbelievable that obviously there's so many options, but you're still seeing probably growth that outpaces the overall industry rounds growth materially, which is incredible because, okay, COVID comes around, probably things drop off like a cliff, and there's like, what does this mean for us? And then, maybe what happened for you guys June 2020, right? So, things start to ease up a little bit.
Right.
What was that like with that bullwhip?
Oof, it just kind of happened. There wasn't, it was a boy, I sometimes try to forget 4 years ago, 3 years ago, but it's, you can't. And it was a learning experience. At that time I was boots on the ground. I was very much a golf course operator, solely. And, we went from, Laurel Hill was 30,000 rounds annually pre-pandemic. And it's, almost immediately went from 30,000 to 45,000. And that's at the time when we were riding in, single golfers in carts, and we were running out of carts. The weird things on the golf course, the pin flags with the pool noodle. It was just a weird time. Those are the things I try to forget because it made absolutely zero sense. But it's just the norm. You look back at that time or pre-pandemic where, revenue, it was okay. And now it's holy shit. Well, where did that come from? And it's just
that's the technical term, right?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And it's still growing. The rounds are still growing. I know, kind of repeating ourselves, but I don't know if Fairfax County Park Authority is kind of sitting in its own little bubble, or not the Park Authority, just Northern Virginia, the DMV area is in its own little bubble. But the increase is still happening. And the kind of, I know, one of the questions you sent me yesterday before this meeting was, trends. And, it stems both revenue and operational, is indoor simulators. The DMV, so DMV is DC, Maryland, and Virginia, for those that aren't familiar. There are 42 indoor simulators within a 50-mile radius of Washington, D.C.
Really?
And I think NGF said that since 2019, there has been a 73% increase in people visiting simulators. Wow. So I kind of subconsciously am pulling that information into my little brain. And so we opened an indoor simulator at Pinecrest Golf Course, one of our 9-holers, back in 2018. And it was kind of new to everybody, at least within this area. And now they're starting to pop up everywhere, not just at golf courses, but at, individually owned,
right.
Brick and mortar type stores, if you will, around the area. So what we're potentially looking at doing, and this might be a year or two or even more down the road, is, the obvious statement is, let's get some indoor simulators and let's put it in our clubhouses. That's easy. That's too easy. Right. And that's not the smartest way to go about it, because we already have those customers are already coming to those golf courses to play golf. What we want to do is, from an agency standpoint, is to continue to grow the game within the agency. So again, going back to having the support that we have, is we have rec centers and a lot of space within those rec centers. There's 8, almost 9, we'll just call it 8 rec centers. If we pick a few of those that are nowhere near a golf course, one of our golf courses, and put a simulator in there, if not 2 or 3 of them, depending on the space. So we have rec center users who may never have thought about playing golf, is to all of a sudden there's a golf simulator there where they can grab a club and just try it out. Right. And maybe we have instruction, maybe we set up instruction over there for the truly beginner golfers that have never even thought about swinging a club. So, the potential of expanding golf beyond a golf course within Fairfax County Park Authority is definitely top of mind. Top Golf exists.
Oh yeah.
In fact, kind of a quick kind of note on that is the first ever Top Golf was in Alexandria, Virginia, which is
no kidding,
right up the road. So that's really? The OG. And then there's one in Loudoun County, which Loudoun County actually is the wealthiest county in the country, which is just
no kidding.
So the OG one in Alexandria is no more. That went away, and they kind of, in a sense, reimagined it and shifted it over into Maryland, right across the Potomac River to where the MGM Casino Hotel is, kind of part on that site. So, but yeah, so trends wise, indoor simulators is definitely something that I'm seeing personally growing in this area, and it's something we kind of want to run after and not fall behind the pace, if you will.
Yeah, what's funny, we just launched with 5-iron, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with 5-iron in New York City. And it's kind of an experiment for us too. We're like, well, we're all green grass public golf right now, but we're talking to the team over there and they're like, yeah, early mornings and, before 7 and after 7, before 7 a.m. and after 7 p.m., we're humming with leagues. And, because they're in New York, so you've got a lot of people in finance who, hey, I want to get a range session in, they're members. I want to get a range session in, from 6 to 7 and then go to work. Yeah. Right. It's unbelievable because obviously it's concrete jungle packed with people who love golf and not a lot of golf around there. So it's pretty interesting to see that combination. And, believe it or not, so they installed Notify within their simulator tee sheet or their, scheduling system, and golfers have really adopted it. It's pretty unbelievable, very surprising because, the question is, all right, well, do people feel the need to do that? But really, it's different. It's a different kind of entertainment category because it's easier barriers, easier to get started, lower pressure. You
Mhm.
can be a brand new golfer and have a good time, whereas it's pretty hard to be a brand new golfer on green grass and have a good
It
time.
is.
So I love that idea of having the simulators be the funnel into the course. I actually just this week as well I played Topgolf. Here in LA, they have El Segundo. I don't know if you've seen this. They have the lakes, which is
I have.
it's a
Yeah.
10-hole par three, no holes longer than like 130 yards, but it's pretty well maintained and they're fun courses and they have night golf. It's a
Nice.
blast. They have music going
Yep.
and they've got you've got the Topgolf, the screen, and then a very easy to play 10-hole facility. And it's just kind of to me like almost like a juxtaposition or a metaphor for golf today, which is fun, social, casual, and then making that leap from, Topgolf onto green grass.
Absolutely. It's, listening to your previous, discussions in this series, you use the analogy small, medium, large, or crawl,
Yeah.
run, walk, or crawl,
Yeah.
walk, run. And that's exactly how we have it set up, whether it was by accident or on purpose. Is we've got the par three courses with the driving ranges. We've got the 9-hole kind of regulation golf courses.
Right.
And then we have the 18-hole golf courses. So that is a literal crawl, walk, run scenario. And if we pull in the simulator or grow our simulator business, it's even more of a, simulator to par three to 9-hole to 18-hole.
Right.
So literally, we are blessed to have a little bit of everything, both from a golf course setup to, of course, with that comes the pricing of it all as well. So we're kind of hitting all kind of demographics and skill levels to a certain extent, and household incomes, and it's
Right.
an interesting setup. And the equity side of it too is always difficult. I mean, that's a big kind of initiative with Fairfax County. We've got the underserved communities who we also want to get on the golf course or into our rec centers. So that's always a battle, if you will, as well, because golf isn't necessarily set up for, especially now, for discounts, because that really kind of, to get underserved communities to play a very expensive sport is more difficult than it seems.
Right.
So we're always thinking of ways to do that. So we've partnered up for probably 5 or 6 years now with the First Tee
Right.
at 3 or 4 of our sites. Just last year, we partnered with Youth on Course. They're at our par 3 golf courses where a junior can walk up and pay $5.
It kind of reminds me of like the benchmark. Did you ever watch Bench Warmers?
Yeah.
I'm going to come up to you, Ryan, and be like, I am 12. I'll be like, I am 12. Can I pay $5 for Louisville?
Tremendous. Yeah. No, that's, golf is funny like that, where it's, we want as many players and golfers as we can, but it's kind of limited to those that have that discretionary income, and that's not always fair. But at the same time, we've got that bottom line we have to hit. So it's a battle, and I think as golf course operators, no matter where you're at in the country or what kind of household income demographic or average that sits within where your golf course sits, is it's finding a way, if possible, to grow the game, not only with juniors, with women, those hot topic kind of demographics, but also bringing in those that can't necessarily afford to play the game, or bringing the game to them. So we're working towards that. It's again, it's a balancing act and something we're still trying to figure out from a golf division standpoint.
All right, last one for you. If you think back to maybe before your first day as an intern, or even before your first day as a GM, and then, most recently, obviously in this director of golf role, what advice would you have for yourself, and what advice would you have for someone else who wants to maybe follow a similar career path of being a course operator?
All jokes aside, but kind of joking, having a psychology degree would probably be very helpful. We're in the people business to really understand how people think. Would certainly lend a hand, at least a psychology minor. But no, all jokes aside, if to get into the industry, I wasn't, and have no, at the time, and probably still now, I don't have any motivation to be a PGA member. I think anybody with a business degree, or accounting degree, a finance degree, I think they would find this industry to be rewarding. It's very transactional, especially on the public side, where it's, here's my money for my green fee. Okay, thank you, sir. Have a good day. Or thank you, ma'am. Have a good day. It's, if you don't like being around people, this isn't for you. This industry. Sure. So you need to have that ability to relate, the ability to put your feet in the shoes of the customer, ability to grow and create relationships, and then eventually lead your own team, be that manager, be that, I use the word a lot, or the phrase a lot, boots on the ground, and not be afraid to get your hands dirty, because you're going to have days where you work, 13, 14-hour days and 9 days a week. So if you're not willing to put in the time, this industry certainly isn't for you, especially in the, I got my real start in the Northeast, Pittsburgh, Mid-Atlantic area. And it's a short season for the most part, but that makes it even that much of a longer season, because everyone's, trying to get in as much golf as they can.
Right.
So it's definitely a niche industry to be in. I think I would guess that a lot of us who've been in it for this long went through phases where we wanted to get the hell out of it, but sure, we always get sucked back in because it's fun. It really is. It's it's sports. We work in sports. So yeah, I don't know if I answered the question, but yeah.
You did. That's awesome. And it's been a lot of fun getting started with Fairfax County, and it's great to see the early results rolling in. And I know we'll keep an eye on everything, and hopefully when you get those reviews next year, everybody's saying, I know I had tee time issues, but a little bit easier this year, right?
That's the hope, Jake.
That's right. Well, hey, Ryan, I really appreciate the time. Love the conversation. And, looking forward to continuing the momentum we have here.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, my friend. Have a good one. Talk soon.
You too.
Cheers.